Yeah. Well, so I think that husbands shouldn't hit their wife, honest.
And
are we recording?
Okay. All right.
Howdy, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Texish, the show about some things Texas.
And some things not.
We have got a super fun interview with Alli Wo coming up. Really, if you guys have not seen Alli Wo in the comedy scene here in Austin, if you're not from India, you're going to really enjoy this episode. Love getting to share the people that we love with all of you.
Tito's and Shiner, gonna be an all-nighter, and I just might find her at the Whataburger line. Dance halls and women, but man, I'm wishing that I was fishing by the river tonight in Texas.
But yeah, before we get into it, first, as always, our favorite segment.
And yours.
Our not sponsors.
Not sponsors. They do not sponsor us.
Still not a dime.
Not affiliated at all.
No links, no discount codes, just
no
pure
promo.
American blue collar not sponsors. Seth, who's our first not sponsor today?
Our first not sponsor is drugs. Drugs! Uppers, downers, and all-arounders, we got them all. They're drugs. Drugs. They make you feel good. They make you feel bad. They make you feel all kinds of ways about everything. They are drugs.
Nancy Reagan's favorite source of fun.
Drugs. Do them a lot. Do them a little. Do them around your parents and pretend like you're not. Drugs.
Just give me that dopamine. Drugs.
They'll make you rethink your life.
Drugs. They'll make you not think about your life. Drugs. People make you think it's a sin, but some of them might be okay. We still don't know. Thanks for my Southern Baptist upbringing for making this really hard to consume.
Drugs. A possible business alternative whenever everything else fails. Drugs.
Shouts out the cartel. Drugs.
Drugas.
Is that how you say that?
Drugas?
Or narcotica?
See?
No, that's a different.
Anyway,
our other not sponsor for this episode of Texish is Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen. All aboard the constipation station. Dairy Queen. You better turn that blizzard upside down. I came here to see it. Dairy Queen. Making every small town in Texas a little obese, but very happy since 1953. Dairy Queen.
That's what I like about Texas.
Dairy Queen. Our grandma from Crane, Texas ate a double cheeseburger from Dairy Queen every day for lunch from the time she was 25 till she was like 90 something.
And she lived forever. Dairy Queen. Do you want a dilly bar? Or do you want a green star? It's Dairy Queen.
You better dip that cone in that chocolate mother effer. Dairy Queen.
If you didn't get all A's, you're not getting
Dairy Queen. Letting you smoke in the restaurant since 2005. Dairy Queen. I love Dairy Queen so much.
Dairy Queen's the best.
I can honestly,
unabashedly.
I subtly crave a Blizzard every day.
It's not subtle. It's obvious.
Just every...
Like, what delicious frozen treat is better than all of your favorite candies
just mashing
into that delicious upside down ice cream?
Yeah, and name another restaurant that'll flip it upside down for you.
Nobody will do it.
Name one.
I'll wait.
Yeah, what's your go-to Dairy Queen order?
Go-to Dairy Queen order. I know it's a tried and true. It is a classic. It is the Oreo Blizzard.
Good one. Did you ever do the put it in the freezer? Like you'd have put in the freezer. Pull it out. It's a different texture. Tastes really. That was good with Butterfinger.
Good with Butterfinger as well. What was your order?
So I went from Butterfinger Blizzard to Snickers Blizzard, and now I'm a large dip cone guy. I just love me a scoop getting that dip.
You know what that means? I think that means you're ready to be a daddy. That's what that means, because that's such a dad move.
It's a dad move.
That's belted jean shorts.
Have you seen this hat?
I've seen the hat. I've seen that. That's like.
Am I playing 9 holes or am I having a baby?
You're one pair of New Balances away.
Yeah. We're not hinting at me having a baby right now.
No, we're not.
Just before I get any messages, is Jenny pregnant? No, not pregnant.
Although I am going to have a lot of fun with that.
Please.
You've just given me so much ammo.
But I had a Dairy Queen story, and I think I just forgot it. Oh, well.
One time, my friend Cody sprinkled cocaine on a dip cone, and it was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
In college?
In college, yeah.
Did he eat it? Or
he ate it.
Snort it?
Yeah, he ate it.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. I love
just a random story.
Heck yeah. Well, who's our small town of the week?
Our small town of the week.
Small town of the week
is a town called Jefferson, Texas.
Not after Jefferson White, right?
Not after Jefferson White. So Jefferson is a city in Marion County. in Texas' northeastern region.
Okay.
Population currently 1,875.
Not tiny.
Not tiny, but really, really small, right? And it's funny because in the 1800s, it had a population of 30,000.
What happened?
So the reason I'm bringing this
railroad.
It is railroad, but it's not what you think. It's not what you think. So here's the story of Jefferson, Texas, a city in which pretty much every single building that is a like county building is a historical landmark.
Because they're all abandoned.
Well, because they were all built in the early 1800s. So this was one of the seats of Texas. It was the biggest shipping port outside of Galveston for the longest time.
So it's by the ocean.
No, not really.
Okay.
It's close enough. So what they could do, it is inland. And because of what is called the Red River Raft or the Great Raft that was blocking that was raising the level of the Caddo Lake and the Red River, they could get steamboats in and out.
Okay.
So it became kind of the seat of shipping between like New Orleans and all these other port cities.
Like the Panama Canal.
Exactly.
Probably not, but that's how I view it in my mind.
So instead of having a railroad, they had these shipping yards. And all these shipping yards brought all sorts of businesses to Jefferson City. It was the sixth biggest city at a certain point.
Okay.
So eventually,
with intentions to grow,
with the intention to grow. So just a few years after the Civil War, it had a population of 30,000 people.
Okay.
Right. And it was one of the most important ports. But what happens is the Army Corps of Engineers discovers this substance called nitroglycerin, and they decide to blow up the Red Raft to like level everything out.
So not to test nitroglycerin.
No,
this was a
government project. We know this is what's going to happen.
Blow that up.
And it was because they wanted to put in a railroad.
Okay.
So unlike
they knew if you don't have one,
unlike all these other cities, that didn't get the railroad,
they made the right decision.
They were like, you know what, we're going to put a railroad here. This is obviously an important city. Let's blow the crap out of this dam and let's lower the water level.
Yeah, good idea.
Which they did.
Yeah.
And the ensuing chaos was such.
And was it immediate?
It was pretty much immediate. So
no way.
This guy comes in and wants to establish his railroad. And there's a fight between him and the governorship. They don't want to use his. He wants to use theirs.
Okay.
There is a railroad eventually that goes through it, but there's such a big infighting between it. They can't establish shipping. Like, they can't establish their logistics.
Commerce, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
They can't agree on who's
They mess it up so much that people just start leaving. And so within several years, the population plummets from 30,000 to like 10,000. And they lose all their business.
That's over 50%.
That's over 50%. So what happens is eventually this Jewish couple who ran the post office and a couple other like city, commerce events buys the city and makes it into a historical landmark so that they can't completely run it out.
Like annihilate the city, basically.
And the only reason it's still around is because of these people.
No way.
Yeah, 100%.
Shouts
out those people. I'll say their names after I unlock my phone.
It's like you're trying not to look at the phone.
I'm trying not. We're trying to do a couple.
A little less researched.
Hold on 1 second. Jacob and Ernestine Stern in the Stern Fountain was given to the city in 1913 in honor of them. That's the Jewish couple who settled in Jefferson before the war. Okay. And once they saw what was happening, kind of bought the town.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there you go. So that's Jefferson.
Love that.
And since 2000, Jefferson has been location for Pulpwood Queen's Book Club Girlfriend Weekends annual conference.
Shouts out.
And that's currently their biggest claim to fame, as well as home of the famous T.J. Blackburn Syrup Works since 1927.
I want to go visit this place.
I mean, it sounds like a cool place to visit. Every single building has history, was around before the Civil War.
What year did they blow the dam up?
That was in 1873.
So Taylor Sheridan, 1873.
Hey, 1873? Yeah.
I'm just saying, that has all the workings of
really something really
Taylor
cool.
Sheridan flick. Infighting, violent.
Did you ever watch that show Texas Rising?
Yes.
I think this is mentioned.
Chodo worked on it.
Yeah. I think this was mentioned in it, but I can't remember if it was actually the scene of anything or just like, oh, they blew up the whatever.
Heck yeah.
So yeah, there you go. That's my small town of the week.
Running a small business is incredibly hard when you have no idea how to market it or brand it clearly. Small business owners, small business operators across the country work so hard to make products and services that they are proud of, but almost always hit a plateau in growth. That's why Creators Collective is here to help. For years, we have helped businesses triple, quadruple, even 5 times their revenue by creating branding and marketing content that clarifies your brand and drives sales. So if you are at a bottleneck or at a plateau, trying to grow your small business, even stay in business, make sure to visit creatorscollective.us right now. Schedule a call so we can find out what services you need, how we can work with you, and make sure that we can boost your bottom line so that you can grow as a business.
Do you want to hear about Once Upon a Time in Texas history?
Yes, please.
So once upon a time in Texas history, the U.S. Army decided to experiment with camels.
What?
Following the California Gold Rush of 1849, there became an increasing need to protect and supply the growing population of Americans in the Southwest.
Okay. After
attempts to build the Transcontinental Railroad succumbed to sectional politics, the Secretary of War, Jefferson Davis, decided to experiment with camels as a means of transporting military stuff.
No way.
Across the Great American Desert.
So they were pulling tanks?
As a result, Major H.C. Wayne was dispatched to the Middle East in 1855 to study and procure the first group of dromedaries.
No way.
He returned the following year with 33 camels. They disembarked together with several Greek and Turkish drivers in Indianola, Texas on May 14th, 1856.
Okay.
They stopped in San Antonio, where it was demonstrated that they could rise from its knees with 2 bales of Texas cotton. And
I wonder how many people watched that, by the way.
And just started walking. Yeah. They ended up getting another herd of 41 camels because it was effective. Yeah. They could carry more than a horse or a mule longer and further. Now, ultimately, this experiment was abandoned because camels' feet are too soft to deal with the rocky terrain of the American Southwest. They're more suited to actual desert.
Yeah, soft.
They also scared the crap out of horses. Horses do not like camels at all. But for the next several years, they were used to get as far as California, transporting military gear.
Starting in Texas.
Ultimately, they fell into Confederate hands and then back to the Union Army.
Okay.
And most were sold at auction in 1866. Now, here's my favorite part. A few of these camels escaped and lived in the West Texas desert until the early 1900s.
And just died off?
And just died naturally, yeah.
Whoa.
Crazy, right?
That's wild. I also just love the image of a horse seeing a camel come and saying, "Oh, look at for what is that? What is that? Whoa! No! Cloven feet! Are you get out of just
get out of here, you devil horse!
Get out of here, you cow-looking horse!
My mama warned me about things like you.
You look like a giraffe had sex with a horse.
You're on fire today,
dude. I'm always on fire.
I worry about your self-confidence.
Everyone does.
I just I wish that we could build you up a little more.
It's people always think I'm taller because my confidence just makes me appear a little. Yeah.
For me, it's the hair.
Yeah.
They think
they think you're Jesus.
Right. They do think.
Welcome to a segment called Gotta Remember the Dairy Queen story. So I was in Puerto Rico. I was in Puerto Rico, and me and a friend stole a raft, and we're in this lagoon because they
borrowed.
We stole it. I'm not gonna
allegedly.
Factually, we had a conversation where we said, okay, the tour, it was a bioluminescent tour.
There you go.
And there were tours for it, but we're in college, so we were like, well, we can pay $100 or we could take that raft
right there
and just sort of get on the caboose. We did that.
Cool.
I don't support what I did.
Cool.
But we did it.
All right.
Telling the truth. I just don't want to tell a story and then someone be like, I know what really happened, and then I get canceled for stealing a kayak in 2013.
I appreciate the honesty.
Thank you. That's not what this is about Dairy Queen.
About Dairy Queen.
And so we're doing this tour, and we start talking to some people, and there were a lot of couples, and so eventually, and they all know each other. So what are you guys here for? We're here for the Dairy Queen franchise owner retreat.
Nice.
And I said, no way, you guys own Dairy Queens? That's awesome. We're talking. And then I go, yeah, we're from Texas. And the guy literally goes, bleep this out, Texas. Super serious.
Yeah.
And all of them echo the sentiment. Texas sucks. We hate Texas.
Whoa.
Why? Dairy Queen does so much better business in Texas that the Dairy Queen, if you franchise a Dairy Queen in Texas, you get access to better chicken fingers, better steak fingers, better fries.
So they're like a subsection of the association.
Dairy Queen thrives at a level in Texas that owners in Milwaukee are like, I hate everything about Texas. Yeah. I'm dealing with these rooster fingers. They're getting prime Tyson stuff.
Yeah.
just like a funny little
That's amazing. That's an adorable little anecdote.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So when they say that's what I like about Texas, there are all these owners of Dairy Queen up in Washington just like, God dang.
Gotta move to Texas.
Keshi moved there. So that was a Dairy Queen story. You want to hear about our Texas badass?
Who's our badass of the week? Does it have anything to do with Dairy Queen? Because that'd be cool.
It doesn't, but I'm sure this man's actually loves Dairy Queen. His name is Kenneth Anderlitch. Handle on Instagram is running _ada _money _.
Okay.
Throw it out there.
Cool.
Holder of the fastest known time running west to east across Texas.
Wow.
So this past year, 2022, Kenneth and a couple of friends took off from outside of El Paso, ran upwards of 50 miles a day to get across Texas in the fastest known time that we've ever seen. And didn't just do it, like
blew the record out of the water.
Blew it out of the water, made it look easy. I had multiple friends that went out there to help him. I didn't have a car, so I wasn't able to go. I've talked to him, though. Great, amazing guy. He also raised upwards of $20,000 for the Pay It Forward Clean and Sober Living fundraiser, and a donor matched it. So like doubled
so like
that.
40,000.
Did it for an amazing cause, but like he cruised it.
Yeah.
This wasn't like...
What's the time?
So I still can't find his actual time, and I don't want to get it wrong.
Okay,
but it
fair,
was like it was less than 17 days, I think.
Whoa.
And so I just want to read a little bit. He made an Instagram post, and I love it.
Yeah,
so here's what he said. Go follow this guy.
Shout out.
Freaking incredible. Because in Texas, we look out for our own. I take so much pride in where I stay and who I keep around me now. I'm not political, right or left, and I don't think it matters. I saw something that could be improved and asked if anyone wanted to come along for the ride. That was it. This whole experience was life-changing. This will open new doors to those who want to give back, push their limits, and make a difference within themselves or around them. I don't like pain. The thing that sucks is that I can endure it a good amount until the wheels fall off. I don't know if people will understand that this run was 90% mental, that I didn't train for this day in and day out, and that the only way I got through this was through my attitude of gratitude. It's cheesy, but like my gas station burritos, that's how I analyze what's in front of me. 23,000 grand of the climb, 850 miles, averaged almost 70,000 steps a day, 8 to 9 minute pace with 10 to 15 minute breaks every 4 to 5 miles, and a half-hour lunch break with 8 to 10 minute naps on the lunch breaks. About 45 miles a day, 8 to 10 hour days. I am from 6 a.m. for 3 to 5 p.m. I didn't put in more than 70-mile weeks for my training, 3 hours in the gym a week, 3 hours of cycling a week, give or take, and stayed on my feet a lot during work. The training and planning were simple and attainable. And yeah, I just want to read that little excerpt. You can go follow him and like follow the whole journey.
Shout out to you. He stands for everything that we promote here on this podcast.
We want him on the show.
We obviously want him on the show.
Kenneth, you're welcome here anytime. Because you know this is.
I'd offer to give you a ride, but clearly you
don't need it. Just run from San Antonio. But you know, there's in this running world, we have runners here.
Yeah.
I'm a runner. It's a thing. We're part of that community, and there's like two sects of these FKT transcon running across states guys. So the guys that are like, it's hard and it's supposed to be hard, and I suffer, and it's me, and you got to find those demons, and
then there's the people who are right.
And then there's the people that have a little bit of humility.
There's the people I want to hang out with.
And there's people like Kenneth who are like, I want to do this. I want to do it for a cause that means something to me. He has a whole story that I'd rather him come on and share. So I'm not going to tease it, but
more than anything, thank you for promoting the ideals that we stand for in such a humble, positive way. For
setting the standard, literally not just how fast you can run from one side of the state to the other, but of how to be a Texan and how to do it in a way that like spreads joy, spreads positivity.
And makes an impact.
Makes an impact. So shouts out Kenneth Anderlitch.
Shout out to you, sir.
You are a Texas badass. And now if you guys have made it this far, go get a Blizzard, sit down, and enjoy this interview with
Alli Wo.
Just
hit the W and then have a spasm on the
Alli,
which is one of her jokes.
Yeah, true.
That's one of her jokes.
Her jokes.
That's her joke.
She said it. All right. Enjoy it, y'all. Still talking nonsense. Still Jake gives us the all clear.
All right, you're clear?
Unlike American Airlines, we can take off today. He got an airline joke in before they even did it. All right,
Wow.
we're ready, y'all.
Gunner's on point lately.
Yeah, all right. We're in Texas update mode.
Texas update mode. All right, cool. Welcome to the Texas update,
Welcome back to another segment of the Texas update.
where we are so prepared and we definitely memorized our jokes.
We memorized everything.
every single one.
In the last week, Congress took 15 rounds of voting to elect Speaker of the House, California Rep. Kevin McCarthy. And I thought I had the longest run time between sequels, said Avatar director James Cameron.
Joe Rogan is rumored to be opening his new comedy club on the historic 6th Street in Austin, Texas, marking the first club where comedians will have to cage fight to get stage time.
Oh no.
The only thing they're going to be roasting is meat.
Today, all U.S. flights were grounded due to a technical error. It's also the last day of Mercury retrograde. Said astrology bitches, will you listen to us now?
Over the last few days, over 300,000 energy customers in California have lost all power due to an atmospheric river dumping rain throughout the state. Unrelated, Greg Abbott was caught doing a rain dance while sacrificing a bull in his office last week.
It's midwinter in Texas, and we all across Texas are enjoying our favorite winter activities. Beaches, barbecues, and working on our tan.
Feels great outside.
Love it.
80 degrees.
A customer at a taqueria in Houston shot a man who was robbing it. When asked why he acted so fast, he said, well, I figured the cops would choke.
Question is too. Also, back to the Greg Abbott because you said dance, and I'm sorry for the people who have messaged us about the Greg Abbott notes. He literally knows how to pop, lock, and turn it. Anyway, all right,
All right.
We are joined today on the Texish podcast. You've heard a new voice, a wonderful voice. Alli Wo is with us. And
Famous comedian Alli Wo.
Alli Wo.
Alli, you look different than I expected.
Yeah, I have 2 less kids than you expect me to have.
Fair. Okay, for off the bat, you go by Alli Wo on stage.
Yeah.
How do we say your last name?
Okay, so my name is Allison Wojtowicz.
Wojtowicz.
Yes.
That W is bullshit.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a Polish last name.
Okay.
Take it up with them. But yeah,
Got it.
Alli Wo is the nickname. But
Wow.
You definitely weren't made fun of in school at all.
none. Yeah,
None.
no,
Zero.
nothing.
Yeah.
No. First day of middle school, my math teacher thought, because my family pronounces it like wrong. So I grew up saying Wojtowicz. Which,
Gotcha. Is that just for other people? Like,
I feel like they thought that was easier, but it's
Yeah.
actually
It's
more
actually
confusing.
fair.
And
yeah.
so I started saying it right later. But as a kid, I was like, oh, my last name's Wojtowicz.
Yeah.
First day of middle school, my math teacher thought I said, what a bitch. And she
gosh.
kept saying it. Like I was like, no,
Right.
Wojtowicz. And she's like, what a bitch? Okay,
Yeah.
Allison, what a bitch. And that just turned into.
You're like, great. Everyone heard
And
that.
now we're all
Right,
right.
and
I love being
And that's how
13.
comedians are born.
I was pretty shy too. Like I was always trying to be nice to people, you know? So I was like, oh no.
And so people who don't know, like from home, we have a really large Polish contingent in Texas.
Yeah.
And you are born and bred Texan.
I am. However, my parents are from upstate New York.
Yeah, but we
So-
forgive them.
So,
Yeah, you know.
So how do we go from upstate New York, not just to Round Rock, Texas, but posting videos of you at 10 years old getting your first hog?
Which
Okay.
we're told would be an award-winning.
So we're going to go and put it. Now
Record-breaking.
it's on the record. Alli Wo has the largest hog in Texas.
No, okay. Okay, let's back
Of
up.
all the comedians currently working.
Probably
our
of
hog
all
is
the
biggest.
comedians.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Dean might fight me on that one.
He'll lose.
But yeah, no. So upstate New York is like just as country as Texas.
Yeah.
It's very hick. Like, so my parents grew up hunting and fishing.
Okay.
My dad went to school in New York, all that stuff. They met and got engaged and all that stuff up there. When he left, he got a job at IBM in Austin.
One of those OGs. Okay.
Yeah, one of the
Heck yeah.
OGs. When he was like, oh yeah, living in Wells Branch was really far north of Austin.
Yeah,
and
there's
everyone
like
thought I was in the
space between the
boonies.
two.
Right.
Him and my uncle used to dove hunt where Dell headquarters is now.
Oh,
Are you
wow.
serious?
Yeah.
That's funny. I still dove hunt. Well, of course, this right now.
Fun fact, yeah, it used to be legal to just like sit in the parking lot and
Yeah.
shoot birds, like of
What
like
the heck?
HEBs too. So
Yeah.
It's still
Yeah.
legal if you don't get caught.
it is. It's very fun.
Crap. Okay, so born here, right here in Texas, right?
Born in Austin, raised in Round Rock.
When
That is rare.
affordable Austin, like when did comedy come into play for you? Were you a theater kid? You said you were shy. Just
I was a theater kid.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
like, I mean, yeah. I've always been very like bubbly and just
Yeah.
smiley and stuff. And so like, loved to sing. Like when I was a kid, people would ask what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I'd say Shania Twain.
love
I
it.
was playing Shania on the way here to get pumped up. You know.
Wait, can you
so-
give us a little like?
Oh no, I'm not gonna
No?
sing right now.
Come on.
No.
Here, we'll just all match pitch. Ready?
You guys. No, but I liked to sing when I was younger, and then just kind of got into acting, stage acting.
Right.
And I got cast in Shitface Shakespeare.
Okay.
As an adult, which we were talking about before the show.
Yeah.
Where we would do a Shakespeare play. Like I was very classically trained.
Yeah.
Like, I did a lot of actual Shakespeare, but this was different because we'd do a Shakespeare play and then we'd get one actor drunk,
Yeah.
and then we'd have to just do the play with a drunk actor,
Which is real fun.
which was so fun. Like it was so fun for the audience, but at the same time, it's like it's so much improv and it's in Shakespearean English as much as you can keep it that way, because that's even funnier. And so like, what dost thou do, sir? Thou art a drunk, just dumb stuff. But like, I was so bad at improv, and I didn't want to take an improv class.
So you just went all in with that.
I was like, let me try stand up.
Yeah.
Because I need to get funnier. I need to get
Okay.
used to talking to the audience. I was bad at those things. So I just started creeping at open mics and like figuring out how it worked. And then I started trying it, and like, it's the hardest thing I've ever done on stage, and I don't like being bad at things.
And you've been drunk on stage. So
yeah, it's way easier to be drunk
Heck
on
yeah.
stage.
And at least in comedy, you don't have to speak in iambic pentameter.
True.
Unless
That's
you want
fair.
to.
fair.
It's a better joke if you do, though.
That's true. Little
That's
challenge.
really funny. Bookmark really quick, going back. And so like, what was the first play that you did? And was it kind of like, once you're on stage, was it love at first play? Like,
I mean, I was little. I was in like sixth grade, I think.
Okay.
There was this thing where the high school needed some younger kids to like play smaller parts in their plays. So they cast me when I was in sixth grade in A Christmas Carol.
no way.
And yeah, so I like got to know the high school directors before I was even up there. So I got to do a high school play every year of middle school.
Yeah.
And then once I got to high school, I was already like really tight with the theater kids and
Yeah.
stuff, and just kind of went from there. But
Heck
I was
yeah.
like a small part in A Christmas Carol.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what is it like being a theater kid in Round Rock? Because we had the experience of like small West Texas town theater
Yeah.
kids.
Which
so
is its own thing.
its own thing.
Yeah, I think it kind of differs depending on who's at the school. Like it was interesting when I started hanging out with those kids. I mean, I was a sixth grader, and some of these are 12th graders, right? Like they're like idols to me.
Yeah,
you know,
they're
like
adults.
they're so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah.
you guys know everything. And
You have cars.
yeah, and it was so cool because like the theater program at Round Rock High at the time encouraged kids to do stuff other than theater. They didn't want us to
Okay.
just be theater kids. So yes, it took a lot of time, but there were a lot of like dancers and cheerleaders and athletes
Okay.
and like, like brainiacs, like the NHS president, like a lot
Yeah.
of them were, like all that stuff. So it was a big mix of people that
Okay.
kind of did stuff, which I really liked.
Yeah.
Because you get like a bigger variety of people, and it's like wasn't as stigmatized to be a theater kid because like, oh well, the captain of the swim team is a theater kid,
Right.
You know?
So you
like,
guys don't get picked on as much.
yeah. So it was fun. I mean, I was definitely one of the more like strict theater kids,
Right.
but
Because you loved it, right?
I did. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
very busy, but like I mostly did theater by the time I was in high school.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So as you were going through high school, did you have that thought in the back of your head, like, I'm gonna go out to Los Angeles or New York and like give it a shot?
I wasn't sure. Like I knew I kind of needed to go to college. It was like parents were pushing for college and
Sure.
stuff. And
They do
so
that.
yeah, I mean, I get it. I respect it.
Yeah.
Like, so I was a really good student. And so I had good options, which was cool. And looked at a bunch of programs, decided I wanted to try to study theater. Ended up actually going to UT for theater.
nice.
So I can't escape Austin.
Just can't get out of it.
It's a good program.
It's great. But yeah, so I went there because I could actually double major, and
Yeah.
I added a kinesiology major as well.
Nice.
So I had a variety of science and
Gotcha.
art.
What was kinesiology like if theater doesn't work out, I had this
Pretty
fallback
much.
sort of
Yeah.
thing?
I'm too hard on myself. Like I don't want to ask for things. So I was like, I can't graduate college and be like a starving artist. I need to have some way to make money.
Yeah, be
I
a
may
ripped
as well-
artist instead.
Yeah. Be a hot artist.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
So yeah, I was like, let's just do that because then my day job can be something I care about too.
Yeah.
I can be a personal trainer or something.
Heck
if
yeah.
nothing
Free
else.
gym membership. It's
Yeah, exactly. yeah.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
what was like, if you could tomorrow go play this part again, what was your favorite role you ever got to play?
Oh man, I would love, this is so lame. I would love to play Elizabeth Bennet again in Pride and Prejudice.
No way.
good role.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a really difficult play to do because whoever like took it from novel to play, the character of Elizabeth goes off stage for probably 10 seconds the whole time. Like there was one exit
Whoa.
for my character the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 180 pages of script, and that was the hardest script for me to ever memorize, but it taught me like tried and true how to memorize. Like
Yeah.
after that role, I was like, okay, I can memorize anything. I know,
Heck yeah.
I know how to do it, and I can teach other people how to do it.
What was the secret? What'd you learn?
It's silly. I always say I take a piece of the character with me that I play, and Elizabeth walks throughout the whole play, like all the time. It's a thing that they make fun of her for.
Okay.
And I just could not memorize these lines. So I was like, screw it. I need to leave the house. I started walking, and I took the script with me.
Okay.
And I already knew I remember things that I hear very well. So I was already reading the lines out to myself. So I took the script and I walked and I read it out loud to myself. So I'm seeing it, I'm hearing it, and I'm moving my body. And for some reason, that just like, it was all three types of learning at once. Yeah. Even better is if you can force yourself to sit down and hand write all of your lines as one monologue.
Yeah.
Because then you like see it in your own handwriting, and you don't need to know what your cues are. You're genuinely memorized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
used to
it's
do the
a
thing
lot.
where you do the first letter of every single thing you say.
Yeah, that's a good trick
it's a
too.
fun-
I've heard that. I didn't know that one until later.
It's a fun one.
Yeah.
It's like good for quick stuff.
Yeah.
But definitely. So as you do these very long things, these like actor challenges, what do you look to in the future that you want to try that's similar to that?
Oh man.
Or something that scares you in that field?
Oh god. I mean, if we're talking like big dream, I
Yeah.
would be like dream to get to do some role at Shakespeare's Globe. Like I love
All right.
I love Shakespeare.
Wow.
And that's like, I mean, that's the highest honor. I would be
Yeah.
shitting myself and so scared. You know? That might be a scariest stand-up if I got cast in a play there.
No way.
Yeah.
What would be like the dream Shakespeare role?
Oh gosh, there's so many.
We're just making you manifest.
Right.
That's what we're all
I know,
talking
right? Okay, so this is gonna sound so bad. It's literally like his first tragedy, and it's not as popular, but it's called Titus Andronicus.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. It's like his grossest play, but it's such a crazy plot. I would love to play like literally the villain in that, because he's
Okay.
like, I like roles that don't make sense to me, and that one, like, why are you such a bitch? You know?
For sure.
So
Do
yeah.
you find that as you dive into these characters, you create empathy for like that person and that thing in you as well as the thing in the world?
Yeah, 100%. And that's like, I was just talking to someone about this yesterday. The guy that played Dahmer in the latest biopic, he was
Yeah.
like, the guy cracked a joke like, oh, someone check on that guy. And I was like, no, for real.
No, for real, somebody
go
check
check
Well, and
on
someone
him.
has had to check. Like he talked about like,
Yeah, he's like, hey, this is
I got a little too into this. Like,
Yeah.
this was a lot.
So the way I describe it, people kind of look at actors as these people just don't have personalities and they're faking everything. But the way that we were trained at UT, at least, is you have to understand yourself really well before you can play another part.
Yeah.
absolutely.
And so it's like, basically like everyone starts here as a baby, and then, you know, certain qualities stick out.
Yeah.
But maybe for you, these qualities stick out, and then like these two. And so it's like, what about your environment is making certain qualities stick out? And what if your environment were different? So Allison, I know how I am today, but if I were raised the way like Hitler was raised, you know,
Yeah.
that's the example they actually use in acting classes.
Yeah, just to
Like,
make it as
you're cast as
extreme as
Hitler and you don't
possible.
think you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
How do you
Yeah.
do it?
Because no one thinks of themselves as the bad guy.
Yeah.
And you have to like walk yourself through that of like, if I
have
were
to
in
make
this
those
position,
choices.
why would
Yeah.
I think that? And that's why everyone kind of comes to a different conclusion, and no one plays a part the same.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know?
So it makes
'Cause-
it interesting.
Yeah, like you lose a kid, someone might scream, someone else might instantly sob. You know, it's like, it's different. Yeah.
So how do you find that type of training prepared you for stand-up?
It did and it didn't. Because I realized with acting, it's really easy to hide behind your character that you're playing. Even though you're really like, you're pulling out, well, this is how I would react if I lost my kid. The audience is still looking at it as like,
Right.
oh, King Lear just lost their kid, right? So like, in that instance, it's like there's still a level of separation. You also aren't supposed to look at the audience.
Right.
So it's like, if you're kind of sucking, you don't really notice.
Like there's no one to look at.
Yeah.
Ideally, you're just in your
Yeah.
world.
Well, even
Yeah.
like theater etiquette is way different.
yeah,
than
Right.
way different.
If there is
Super.
etiquette in a
The fact that I show up
club.
before my comedy shows, like everyone compliments me for being so punctual, and I'm like I was a little bit late today, and I felt really bad because it was
I
like
pulled up
genuinely,
right behind you.
like genuinely, I try to like be early
Yeah.
because in theater the saying was like, if you're not early, you're late.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You know, you're
And
supposed
if
to start rehearsal.
Yeah, if you're on time, you're late.
yeah. Football.
What? I don't have a car.
Football.
He has an excuse.
Football, baseball, track, dad, mom,
Yep.
everyone. I'm sorry, I'm a dirtbag.
But yeah, so I think my stage presence was better when I started stand up
because you have that familiarity of being
right. I knew
stage.
how to hold a microphone, like basic stuff like that.
Yeah.
But beyond that, it was so scary for me to look at the audience.
I'm sure, yeah.
I didn't know how to pace myself. I would like try to word perfect memorize jokes, which isn't how it
Just not how it works.
Not quite how it-
Like it's a different muscle completely.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Like
What's something that you've learned that's been a big takeaway as you've gone through this experience?
well, just on a very practical level, both skills complement each other. Like I've done some acting since I started stand up again, and I'm way more comfortable in just being a person, which is what you ultimately want to do when you're acting. Like you get so caught up in the theory that it seems too performative. And then the ultimate master is acting like they don't know anything, you know? But I would say like on a deeper level, I've had to just learn who I am more like in different ways. Like it's more of who do I think I am when I'm acting, because then I can express that. And then with stand up, it's who does the audience think I am? And what do I want to tell them about me?
Play to?
Yeah. Because like you get on stage at a stand up show and they see you and they automatically have judgments.
Right.
Because they're already like, make me laugh, monkey. You know?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Like, be
They're
funny.
waiting.
Yeah.
You
Funny
know?
time.
Yeah.
They're the most
and they
hostile.
want you to be funny, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not like mean about it, but they're
there's the
still the
expectation.
most hostile.
They're like, you have 5 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody has that little bit, that hook.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you kind of want to get them to like you fast, and you just have to be aware of what you come off as to people. You know, I've had talks with a bunch of friends about that.
That self-awareness aspect.
Yeah, and they do that a little bit in acting class. Like they literally, I used to have a joke about it. They sat us all down one day and told us what we looked like so that we would know what to audition for.
Yeah.
And that was like a real thing.
How did people receive that? Because I'm imagining 19-year-olds going through that. And it doesn't look good in my
Depends.
I mean, yeah, it
The
depends.
answer is it depends.
Yeah.
Because like I think a lot of us already know, right? Like, but for me, I was pissed because like the part of the joke was like he literally just said young white female, and I was like, fucking duh.
Like, what?
Okay, fine.
Sorry.
Like, it doesn't help.
Yeah.
But you know, you can look at your casting history and figure out what your
Exactly.
type is after
For
a
sure.
little bit.
After you get called in for the same stuff a few times,
Yeah.
you start you're like, okay.
After
all
your
right,
third
I
country
get it.
music video, you're like, huh.
Oh, okay.
So I look a certain
so I look
way,
a certain
yeah.
way. Not talking about anybody
Marine
specific,
number 3.
are you? Oh man.
But I had a question. What was it? It's are the assumptions different? Like you've gotten to tour to different cities and different places. Like what people assume about you here, is it different when you're like in LA or in Chicago?
I think, okay, so sometimes I tour like literally it's just I'm going on a trip, and so then I book shows wherever I'm going, and that's different than like touring with a headliner. So I've toured with Jen Fulweiler before.
Yeah.
She is a Catholic mom of 6, and
She's
that makes her
nice.
sound so lame, but she's the coolest person ever.
I'm
And,
sure
like,
6 kids is good source material. So
I love describing her as that because she just like is the funniest person to me. And like then you say that and it's like what?
Yeah.
But so like touring with her, the audiences expect different of me than when I opened for Jason Rouse, whose Instagram handle is literally Jason Rouse 666. You know, like
different vibe.
That's
different
who
vibe.
I
it's a completely different audience.
The 6s overlap.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, there's a little bit of inherent like different expectations there. Like people assume that I'm kind of like a sweet little angel baby for the lack of a better term when I'm with Jen, because I'm also doing clean comedy with her. And with Jason, he was like, do the nastiest stuff you can come up with. And I'm touring with Jason. So they're probably like, this girl has some secrets. What happened to her? You know, like, but I mean, for the most part, like acting history wise, it was either like innocent coming of age characters or the crazy girl, because I have big eyes.
Yeah. The big eyes help.
The big eyes
Sticks
help.
out completely.
Yeah, you can just like go.
Yeah. Wait,
What'd
do
you
that.
say?
Whoa. What?
The best part is there's going to be a close up on your face.
For sure.
that.
I knew it. That's
It's
why
gonna
I
be
almost didn't
fantastic.
do it.
I know.
Ingram's probably going to put fire in it or something.
you.
Perfect, please.
Sort of going into the self-discovery part. Well, it's not more about his comedy, but what is something about yourself that you've learned or discovered through doing stand-up that like you would have never expected?
Oh man, just honestly, little mannerisms that you don't know you have when you talk. I know I talk with my hands a lot now.
We do too.
Filler words like I also, you notice why you don't like listening to your own voice after a while, because I record all of my own sets and listen back to them because it teaches you how to fix the joke.
Yeah.
But I laugh after I talk a lot when it doesn't even make any sense. And so little things like that really bother me. And then as far as like personality traits and stuff, I just find that it's like, I don't know what happens. There's like a level of resistance to talking to the crowd, and it's because I'm scared that I'm not going to actually have anything entertaining to follow up with.
Yeah.
But if I actually let myself do that, I almost always have a good time, even if it's not like a killer joke.
Right.
You know, it ends up working most of the time, but it for whatever reason I psych myself out most of the time. So it's and I don't know where that comes from because I don't have a problem just talking to people off stage.
Clearly.
But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, those are just a couple of things that I've noticed.
Yeah.
You kind of notice like different insecurities that you didn't know you had either, because comics will roast you about anything.
And that's
And that's in the green
that's where I
room,
saw you
right?
the first time.
Yeah.
It's like at a roast battle.
Yeah. Oh, you
And-
saw me
I
at
saw you
roast battle?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And you won. I can't remember who you were up against.
Dave
but
J.
Dave J.
She
yeah,
remembers.
yeah. There you go.
Because I'm cutting up that battle right now.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
post some of it.
It was
soon.
really, you
Go.
were on fire that night. Yeah,
And are you
really good.
typically a roast comic, or were you just on it that night?
I love doing roasts.
Yeah.
Okay.
If they're like that. Like I think I had like a week or two to prepare. So I got to like, and Dave and I are also, we're not super close, but we're friends. So he messaged me and was like, you want to trade ammo? So we just like sent each other stuff that we could
Just
write
some, like,
about.
yeah.
Yeah. And because that's what I like about that too. Like it comes off to people as roast battle as us trying to talk shit, but like that green room was so fun.
I'm sure it
like,
is.
Oh, yeah.
because
dude.
Darian Irwin and Trey Pack roasted each other on that show.
They're the ones that look
They
the
look
same.
the same.
Right?
And that was
well,
so
they're
funny.
friends and they
They're,
look the same.
they're
right?
really good friends and they look the same. They got together and wrote their roasts because they wanted to make sure they weren't the same.
Yeah.
Well, and I
real-
think they went back and forth with fat jokes, different fat jokes
Yes.
for like 5 minutes.
Real
Yes.
quick, embarrassing story. I've seen Darian. I haven't seen Trey.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm on the trail the other day running. I see Trey walking toward
Oh,
me,
no.
but I didn't know it was Trey until I said, "I love your incest joke." And then, like, the way he looked at me, I was like, "You're not
You're
Darian."
not Darian.
Not Darian.
man.
Oh, no.
So yeah, just a quick story. Back
There
to
you go.
back to
So silly. Yeah. So I like it. I think I like roasts
Mm-hmm.
because it gives me something very specific to
Yeah.
write about. Like when you guys said we're doing the Texas update today, I was like, yes. You know?
Yes. Oh, dude, you were so stoked. Oh, thank God.
First of all, your jokes were excellent. And second of all, congrats on being the first Texas Update guest.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was wondering. I don't think I've seen any
Hopefully
other
recurring.
guests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're picking. Also, this was selfish because now we're like, okay, that's what a joke sounds.
Yeah,
like.
that's what. Yeah, we're like, all right, how do we do this?
How do we do it?
If y'all want some ghostwriters,
Yeah,
let me
yeah.
know.
Go.
Hey, I'm not gonna turn it down.
But yeah, so I mean, I haven't been like a roast comic. I wouldn't say like my jokes are necessarily roasty when I'm just doing stand up, but I love doing roasts.
Yeah.
We've had several friends that do birthday roasts every year, so I've gotten to practice on those. And I have a new game show actually starting back up that started as an online show during COVID.
Okay.
We're bringing it to real life now, but me and the co-host, part of the shtick is like we will be roasting the guests on the show.
Yeah.
No
and
way.
probably each other and the audience too.
That's amazing.
But
That's awesome.
yeah. So I like incorporating it for sure.
Heck yeah.
love that.
And so back to sort of the origins, you said you were creeping on some open mics and wanted to learn to be funny. So what was that first set like?
Oh, it was bad. I mean, I think I kind of got like a chuckle or something because I'm
Like
I look
almost
at you
like,
like,
hey,
how
hello.
can you hate this?
I love
You know?
I love the idea of like I refuse to take an improv class. I'm just gonna jump into the deep end.
Yeah. Okay. This is honestly, here's the insider scoop. Most stand-up comics will talk shit about improv comics all day.
As they should.
A lot of people think they're the same thing. They're not.
they're not.
No.
Very much not. Improv felt a lot like paying to take middle school theater classes.
Yep.
Comics are funny. Improv artists are annoying.
Yeah. Yep.
Someone described it to me one time as comics were the people told that they wouldn't amount to anything in life, and the improv comics are the ones that were told they could do anything.
Sounds about right.
Wow.
That's
that tracks. That tracks.
Class warfare.
Totally
think that was-
tracks.
I think that was Craig Fergola that said that
Nice.
to me.
I like that.
But yeah. So anyway, I just didn't want to do it. Like
Yeah.
I didn't even take middle school theater classes when I was in middle school
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I
in
was
high
like,
school,
this
yeah.
is dumb. Like,
Yeah. I'll just do it. And learn.
yeah. So, but I actually had a friend from college. So I was working as a personal trainer downtown.
Okay.
And
Equinox?
No, it wasn't open yet.
Ah.
But he was working some like sales job that he hated, but he
Yeah.
had to be in a suit all day, cold calling people.
Mm-hmm.
Ran into him downtown on Congress, and he was like, "Yo, whatever, how's it going? And I was like, dude, I saw you're doing stand-up. And he goes, oh, you should come check it out. So he was the one that initially told me, my friend Sam Castillo, he told me like, you should come check it out. And then he started telling me more like, I think you would actually like this and all that stuff. And at the same time, I was like, well, this is a lot more interesting than improv. And I want to be better for Shitface Shakespeare. Cause like, the funny thing about that play was I would be the drunk, and my biggest note was you need to act more drunk. And I was,
and you're like, I
was
blitzed.
drunk,
I don't know what
like,
to do.
You're like, I'm Polish, bitch.
That's how
like,
tight.
yeah.
I'm Polish and Irish.
So you're just like, knocking back.
But
you're like, I blacked out. I'm trying.
I still know all my lines. That was the problem. I would literally like
you were
do my
too
lines.
good at being drunk.
I was too type A. Like
you had done the problem is you actually did the work. So whenever,
it was too off book. Like I was very memorized. So
what was like the funniest moment you had on Shitface Shakespeare?
Okay, they like let us get crazy on this show. For like 18 months of the time I was in that show, we were running Romeo and Juliet, and I was Juliet,
of course.
And so like and the eyes, and so
innocent and crazy.
I like started. Yeah, that's how it turned out. Like I started like trying to come up with what was the worst way I could mess up the storyline. So there was one time where I went for Mercutio instead of Romeo, and there was one time where I decided not to kill myself, so I just walked off stage at the end. Like just stuff like that. But the craziest time, I think, because people also caught it on film and will still tell me about it, is when there was a drunk on stage. If there was a sword fight that was supposed to happen, they would trade it out for other silly props so that the drunk wouldn't get hurt. I wasn't supposed to have a sword, but somehow I ended up with one. So they like traded it out and they gave me a double-ended dildo.
Whoa.
That was like this big.
Nice.
And someone has a video of me just holding it and windmilling it in my, literally holding a cider in my Juliet outfit.
Oh my God.
At the North Door, which is now the parish.
Nice. Which is across the street.
Yes.
Austin.
So funny.
Dang.
And people say Austin, Texas isn't weird anymore.
No.
And was it, by the way, was this your first acting job out of
that
UT,
was
basically?
After I graduated, that was my first
like you
job.
stepped
What
right
a first
into
job.
that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I was personal training too.
Yeah.
Like it didn't pay all the bills, but it was so fun.
That must have been so fun.
I did it for like 2 years. It was a lot of fun.
And what was like the craziest thing you witnessed as like a sober person on stage?
Oh my gosh, people just did so much stuff. Like we had things break a lot.
That tracks.
Yeah, I feel like one of the worst things was like if an audience member was drunk and then like also like was heckling an actor, like some of the male actors would like try to fight back sometimes.
Oh gosh.
So it was like we had an MC that was kind of the intermediary. So they could literally hop in and stop the show at any time, and like they made the drunk the butt of the joke when that happened, you know? But yeah, I mean, there were like we always had to have a puke bucket. People got sick backstage. That was crazy, but not super common, but it happened. Yeah, I feel like it's just like breaking the bed a lot of the time. Just like crazy, like
like little
like
things,
safety things that don't. I don't really have one that was like, oh my God,
just like the little things every. That is crazy. You were kind of primed for stand up in a way. Like if that was your first,
when that's your training ground, nothing really surprises you.
Yeah, well, especially that MC character, right? Like we called it the compare, but they had like a 10-minute speech that they had to do at the top, and it was memorized, but they let us write our own jokes for it if we wanted to, and so like. We had to be really theatrical and kind of like circus ringleadery about it, but they were in charge of the show the whole time. So they literally were on stage with the drunk all the time. Like they had to really take care of things. So in a way, like I did, because I mean, you had to interact with the audience too. Like there were props in the audience that needed to be used for things. So it was like definitely crowd interaction that helped. And that speech at the top, it helped. And once I started stand up, that speech got way better. So it was like, it all just kind of.
Heck yeah. And how long did it take you? I love asking comics this. Like, how long did it take you to find your style? Like, how many people did you mimic before you?
I feel like I'm still finding it. Let's be honest.
Come on.
Like, I mean, so I would say the last like year or so, I've gotten better at like, I know I can sit down and at least crank out one decent new joke that I want to try.
Yeah.
Which sounds like not that much. I don't sit and write all day like some comics can. I have other stuff I need to do, but you know, I try to write for 30 minutes or, an hour or like whatever. And I never felt confident that I could sit down and actually come up with something until like the last year or two. Sometimes it was like, I'm just sitting here in freeform writing and like maybe something funny comes out of it. I just felt like I was really bad at knowing where the setup and punchline were.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my open mic time was and still sometimes is just me going up and riffing ideas and figuring out what the funniest part is.
Right.
And then
So that
just
you can
like,
refine.
yeah. Or like I'll write something that I think is a funny setup, but kind of throwaway line, but that gets the biggest laugh. So I'm like, okay, how can I rearrange this to where that's the punchline? And then I'd write other punches or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I've been doing it for 4.5 years, so I'm still fairly new.
That's always crazy to me because it seems like it takes about 10 years for a comic to really become their full comic self.
Yeah, that's usually what they say.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think like how much you're practicing affects that. And there's definitely some people that are just good. Like they're just funny because they're funny. Mike Eaton is one of those people. Casey Rocket is one of those people, you know, like just because he's insane, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's crazy.
But he knows like a thing to do, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like there's just certain people that are funny and that's what it is. And other people have to learn how to write better jokes.
So you fall in love with this crazy art form and you start doing it. My question is like, where do you see your trajectory and how do you see Austin playing into it? Because when you started, it was a very different comic city.
Yeah. I mean, so you asked earlier if I ever thought I was going to move to LA or New York for acting. And like, I thought about it after college. But because I got the Shitface Shakespeare role, I have some other friends that had cast me in things like, I was making more money acting in Austin than my LA friends were. You know, you have to kind of do the grind for a few years in those bigger places before. And I wasn't sure if I I didn't really have much like film experience. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to go.
Yeah. Well, did you want film experience even, or were you kind of more of?
I like stage, you know? So it was, if anything, it was like Broadway, I guess. But I don't know if my voice is quite good enough to be singing Broadway. So it's like,
I don't know. You matched our pitch.
I just stared.
Bust out that
Shania Twain Broadway show coming soon.
Yeah, coming soon.
Shania Twain.
Shania DM me. I'm your biggest fan. I will open for you. But with jokes.
Better sing.
But yeah, so where were we going with this? So I was kind of playing it by ear because I was like, okay, I don't want to leave my friends and family and everything I know just yet. That's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Let's just see how Austin plays out for a little bit, get on my feet, figure this out. Because I was also like personal training, like everything I was doing was kind of entrepreneurial. So I needed to figure some stuff out. I needed to be close to home.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened right at a time where like my business and like comedy were taking off to a point where I maybe even could consider going somewhere else. And then now after COVID, I'm like, I don't even have to leave.
Which is kind of awesome.
At least for a while, you know, like I definitely took advantage of the fact that one of my best friends, Destiny, lived out in Los Angeles pre-COVID. So I flew out there like 6 times a year and just stayed with her. It's cheap flight, you know? So like I got to get in and meet people there with comedy. But yeah, so now that it's as big as it is here, I'm kind of liking home basing here because like I said, my community and things I like are here. There's enough paid work here, but there's enough headliners and other people coming through that now I'm getting opportunities elsewhere.
Which is awesome to watch, by the way. Just like so as fun. Fans of yours.
It's so cool to watch your friends get bigger.
It's crazy.
And do what they love.
It's just fun. Like I geek over my friends all the time too. Like Mike's flying out to do roast battle in Los Angeles cuz. Just cuz, you know, it's so cool.
Him in his flat billed hat. What has it been like for you, not just as someone from Austin, but like entering into the comedy scene when it was sort of just like
what it was,
to go through COVID, and then now like you're helping build one of the biggest comedy scenes. Like you have your own shows, you're doing your own thing. So what has it been like to watch this growth?
It's weird because like. Okay, so like there was the Austin comedy scene pre-COVID, and obviously those comics are still here. And I'm friends with them. And then there's all the new people that moved in, and I'm friends with a lot of them. And then there's all these like people that either were in Austin and just decided to start, or they came from like other small cities. Like it's not just the LA and New York people. It's like from everywhere. You know. I like that I'm in the middle. There's definitely been like some separation, you know, like some of the old Austin comics will stick to certain clubs and some of the new ones will stick to other clubs. And there's kind of a little bit of that, but like, I'm glad that I got to see both because I think the Austin scene that I started in was way less intimidating. And I don't know if I would have felt as positive about it like when I first started. Like I liked that we had a smaller scene. the thing about the Austin scene, and it still feels true, is like there's a lot of comics. It's always felt like there's a lot of comics, but it's because there's a lot of comics in relation to how much stage time there is.
Yeah,
right.
But there's always been a good enough ratio that people don't want to leave. So like even when there was only Cap City Comedy Club as our pretty much our paid option for comedy, there were not enough comics for it to feel overwhelming that we were really fighting for those spots.
Right.
You know, like there was hope that we could get a spot there.
Everybody kind of got their turn.
Yeah, or like it felt like you would at least. And enough people felt that way that we wanted to stay for a certain amount of time. And now there's like 6 clubs plus, you know, and adding more. And
6 clubs, 5 basements, 3 rooftops.
I know, right?
Yeah,
like a backyard somewhere.
Yeah, totally. Someone's attic. Seriously. It's just everywhere. But
East Austin Comedy Club is, you feel like you're about to get murdered. Like as you walk, you're like, this is a racist tiki torch sacrifice ceremony. But it's you get in and it's one of the coolest rooms.
Yeah, it looks
like
so awesome
super
on the inside.
Yeah. And Andre's great. Like,
yeah, I love Andre. But yeah, so it's like now there's like all of these clubs and it feels like I show up to an open mic and I'm like, holy shit, who are these people? You know?
New people
but,
through,
but it doesn't feel like overwhelming still. And maybe that is because I caught it at the right time. I was doing it long enough that I knew enough people in the scene that I kind of got in and like was able to continue getting opportunities. But
you're also a good comic. Like
and like a good person.
It helps that you're good at it. And
it helps.
I don't know if you'll hate or love or feel about this question, but what is it like to be a female comic? Like what are the perceptions versus the realities? Just all the things that come with being like.
It comes with mixed reviews.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so here's my take. Like, it might not sound the most feminist, but here we go. Cancel me.
Well, we
ladies.
are a feminist podcast, so.
But okay, I think there are definitely things that are much harder for us, and there are definitely things that are easier for us because, like it or not, bookers do want to have a variety of people on their lineups. So there is kind of an open spot for a woman on the lineup. So like, even if there's 20 hilarious men and 1 okay woman, they might pick that woman sometimes, which I don't personally think is fair.
Yeah.
A lot of the challenges are you get on stage as a female and a lot of dudes will just subconsciously write it off as like, this is a chick talking, I'm not going to listen.
Yeah.
And that's not like a knock, that just kind of happens, you know? And so it kind of feels like you do need to come out swinging a little harder sometimes and or prove that you're the cool chick or like the, not the bro chick, maybe the bro chick off stage with the comics so you don't get hit on. You need to kind of draw really
like
hard.
Just really like,
really hard
I'm not
lines.
dating any of you guys.
I could see that.
Yeah, really hard lines with that. Cause I mean, I personally don't really have that many like harassment stories or like issues in that regard, but I hear and see them all the time with other female comics, you know, and I think I don't know what it is. I've had dudes tell me to put my dick away before, you know, I think I just walk up and I act like don't fuck with me enough that people just don't.
They just don't.
But you have to kind of do that, which isn't the best,
right. Which
you
is
know?
a dude you wouldn't have to do.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's pluses and minuses to it. And I think too, like, you just watch like joke writing, like this, the way women and men speak are different. Men are more concise. Women like to tell stories more.
Yeah.
So the type of joke writing is different sometimes. And like, I think sometimes I try to write like a guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know how else to describe it other than trim all the fat.
Sure.
You know, one-liners, things like that. Cause I notice that there's a difference there sometimes and it's not cut and dry like that, but trying to just notice how people speak.
Those nuances.
But yeah.
Another way that you kind of stand out is comedy has a lot of like debauchery, but you are involved in the health and fitness space and still are to some extent.
Yeah.
We met you with a gym.
Yeah. Even back to you show up early for your set.
Exactly. That's not common. So what is it like to bring that into that space and how did you originally get into kind of the health world?
I mean, when I was a kid, like my brother was super athletic. I was into athletics until I went really hard in theater. So I played volleyball, gymnastics, stuff like that. But when I quit sports, my dad was like, you have to keep working out with me. So my dad made me work out with him.
All right.
Cool dad. Shout out.
Yeah. Shout out dad.
Hogs working out.
So I just kind of already had the habit of lifting weights and going on runs and things like that. When I went to college, definitely got a little bit too obsessive with it. Like I for sure had some eating disorder issues in college for a bit, but sorted that out by the end of it. And with the kinesiology degree, also studied nutrition, all those things. And honestly, once I graduated school, I did do coaching stuff for a bit, and I do it like I have a couple clients here and there. But I turned into more of a marketing person for the health world. I got pretty good at email marketing and social media. So I did that for a variety of health brands and still do actually, couple small clients. But so that's kind of how I'm involved now, just an enthusiast, and I'll help people if they match up. But like, I'm not seeking a full load of clients because it's a lot. Like coaching people is a lot.
Sure.
Especially you turn into their therapist, you know, when you're
pretty
cool.
That's what they don't tell you.
So it's like you're trying to keep it positive for them all day, and you don't even want to do your workout. But
answer as much as you're willing, if answer at all. How were you able to kind of address the eating disorder part while you were in college?
I mean, I think I kind of like knew it was getting bad when like my freshman year I went home for Christmas and my mom was like, what happened? Like I was really skinny. And then she like finally talked me into trying like one of my favorite cookies. And it's this weird thing that happens when you've been starving yourself for a while, that like any high calorie food just like sets off that dopamine so fast and you want more of it. So I ended up eating like a bunch of them.
Nice.
Because you don't know like how to stop. Like you've been starving. So it turned into like this vicious cycle of like starve, binge, all that stuff. And I just once that happened, I was like, okay, I truly don't feel like I can control myself. When I was only starving, I was like, I'm in control. I'm doing this. I can stop anytime I want.
So once the binging starts.
And then the binging starts and you're like, ooh. And so one time I ate too much and I got sick. Like I'd never been someone to intentionally get sick, but I got sick, and getting sick was so much pressure on my head that I burst all the blood vessels in my eyes. And I remember like standing up from the toilet and like looking at myself in the mirror and like seeing the puffiness and the red starting. And I was like, oh shit, I really messed up. And so I literally just called my mom and I was like, we have a problem. And all I said was like, I think this is an emotional thing. And I don't know, I think I just don't know how to handle my stress. And she said, well, anytime you feel that way, you can call me. And I said, okay. And knowing that I had to call my mom anytime I felt that way meant that it stopped almost immediately.
That's amazing.
Which is crazy. Like, but I was so scared to tell someone. Because it's so embarrassing. Like it feels like it is something like that too. Like the people will just be like, we'll just stop eating. It's like, no, like it's literally a neurotransmitter and gut imbalance problem after a certain point, because you've starved yourself for so long and what you have eaten is shit. And then your body just wants any calories. You know, you really can't control it sometimes.
Like you go into lizard brain. It's
really weird. Like I would literally like be done eating something and be like, what did I just do? Like I didn't even know. It was very weird.
It's funny. I had my own eating disorder in high school. And I had a similar thing where I burst the blood vessels in my eyes. And what I do want to just bring up is how incredible it is that you were able to see that it was a problem, because I wasn't, and address it pretty immediately. And so my kind of question here is, what would you say to people who are struggling with similar things, and how do you find that you had the strength to reach out?
Wow. I mean, well, I felt like I was on the last straw at that point, because I mean, by the time the blood vessel thing happened, I mean, the eating disorder issues started freshman year, and I think I was a junior when the eye thing happened. So that kind of felt like, okay, you literally just like, what if you stopped seeing after this? Like, I didn't know the full implications of seeing that. So I was like, bitch, what if you just blinded yourself? You know, I was terrified. So like, I think for me that felt like, okay, if this isn't your rock bottom, it's going to get worse. And I kind of have that kind of self-talk of like, I love you, but bitch, you're being an idiot right now. You know,
like, please stop it.
Hey, I love you. Don't be dumb.
My friend Jamie Kilstein described it as between Jocko and Jesus. It's like
I love
peace and grace, but get your ass up. You know, like
which Jesus also said, get up.
Like,
he was kind of awesome.
Jesus made the dead walk.
Jesus was like, walk, bitch. Like he did that a couple of times. And then Peter was like, okay.
Bro, you can see. Like, come on. Just take the cloth off.
That prostitute
being a
was
little
like,
bitch.
fine.
It isn't. Thank you guys.
Paul was like, I can't.
This is how I know you guys are for sure from West Texas. I just got a Bible lesson.
It happened.
We can't help it, even if it's a Houston comedy.
But thank you for answering that. I asked specifically because like that's one of those struggles that I feel like more people than are willing to say have on
but you asked for advice to people who are struggling with it. Like you're not alone. Everyone thinks that's just their problem or they're going to get judged. Like, and it's so cliche and you don't want to hear it, but it's like, you're not alone.
Yeah, call your mom.
Your mom is literally, I mean, maybe your mom will call you crazy. Someone in your life is not going to call you crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Like someone in your life probably feels like they have done way worse than you.
Well, and someone in your life is probably going to say, me too.
Yeah. Like I was just about to say, I haven't met someone else who has told me that to like that specific problem that happened.
I was a binge purger too. So
Got
like,
it.
I did that a few times.
Yeah.
So like,
no one at home was worried about him, but
any guys who are out there, like you're not alone. Guys struggle with it too.
Seriously, men don't talk about it much at all.
Yeah, well, and with men, it's like body dysmorphia, which usually like it's not the same as women, but I feel like that
There's
problem is always like women struggle with that,
and it's
like.
It becomes about, I don't know, I did some reading and kind of like self-healed. I never even really told anybody about it until after.
Yeah.
And it always kind of points toward control. And it's this thing that you can control. So if you're comfortable and you don't have to share if you don't want to, what at that point in your life was out of control that you felt the need to exert that over yourself?
Well, I think it started when I went to college. And so I think I felt like, I definitely had boy troubles too. So like it was like you're going to college and then like you have these boy problems happen and like you kind of tie it in your head of, well, if I just looked better, maybe things would be easier. And going into acting school, no one ever said to me I needed to change how I looked. But in my head, I was like,
well,
I should look a certain way.
Well, then you were sat down and told how you looked.
Right.
After that.
Acting's real great for yourself.
But yeah, so I mean, I think it was just like a bunch of change for the beginning. And then by the end of it, it was an addictive, like I can control this thing until you can't.
And then you have that sense of satisfaction of controlling it.
Yeah, well, the dopamine hits
so
just
vicious.
Are like, oh, it's so crazy. I know I'm a dopamine junkie.
Oh,
yeah.
I still like
we all are, but
Yeah.
if you've done that, like you know it's different.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
because you're willing to
part of
pull
my
back
language
so far.
is it orgasmic? Like there's like the runner's high.
It's right up
I
to
love
the line.
dopamine,
Like,
but
honestly,
yeah, when you're like in the middle of a binge, you're just like, oh my God, this is all I want to be doing right now.
it's like your brain is on fire in a good way.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane.
Yeah. And then as soon as you're done, you're like in so much pain and
you
hate yourself.
And you hate yourself.
Like, I could never tell anyone about this.
Not to get
It's so
graphic,
shameful.
but that sounds like when I looked at porn as a 16-year-old, it was like not
Similar.
doing it for 3 months.
Because it's all dopamine, right?
Yeah, it's all. Then like those 30 minutes are like, what
What is that?
And then for 4 days, it's like I feel
like, I feel
gross and
dead.
horrible,
Right.
and everyone
Right.
I
hates
feel like a
me.
zombie. It's crazy.
It's so weird.
It's so weird.
Talk to somebody, whatever it is.
Reach out. We're here to help.
I was.
You could DM me if you need to.
I thought of this question in the
DM her.
bathroom. In the dating realm now, I don't know if you're dating right now or just as you've dated as a comic, like guys are always trying to peacock for the most part. So if they find out you're a comic, how funny do they try to be and how funny is it not?
Okay, it goes.
It's like one of two ways. They're like either roast me or they try and
It goes it can go a couple different ways. First is like, oh, I've always wanted to try that too, which is instantly like, okay, what do? You're a doctor, man. I've always wanted to perform surgery too. Like,
well, I mean, it's also like, dude, it's my job.
Yeah, yes, because then there's the other one that's like, oh, well, tell me a joke. It's almost like they don't believe you.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's okay. Well, now I don't want to even talk to you anymore.
Exactly.
And then there's like the guy who's actually cool. They're like, oh, that's cool. You know, like there's people who are like, oh, that's really cool. Like that's
there's normal sane, there's normal world.
Yeah, normal. So we want to give them credit. There are people, there are people who I will go on dates with that are like cool and fun and whatever. And actually, I think they're funny. As people, but they're not trying to do it in any performative way. And then there's just the corny, like they try to crack a joke and or they like try to act like a cool guy and then we'll be talking and then they'll crack a joke and I'll laugh and they'll be like, oh, I made the comedian laugh. Yes. And I'm like,
and you're like, no,
I'm dry. Sorry.
So here's something else that we have in common is we've both been engaged before.
Oh shit. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I knew you were engaged. I didn't know that you
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
At your comfort level, but how do you find dating after something like that?
Well, okay, so we'll just go into a little bit of detail and say it's been less than a year since I ended the engagement. I ended it in the end of April 2022.
We met like right
after that because which was weird because I knew you when I was engaged, I think.
I met you. Yeah, I met
Yeah. But so, I mean, it's now January 2023. So it's been 8 months, 9 months. And
that dating question sounds so dumb now. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I mean, well, it still happens though.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't just walking around flaunting that I had a dude.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have the ring on, but like, so anyway, I feel like now, at least right now, I'm just way more chill about all of it. Like for me, I haven't, like, I never really liked the apps. Like I met my ex off of an app or not like off of the apps, not on the apps.
Right.
Yeah.
In real life.
IRL as the kids say.
IRL.
It was just not the right fit, comfort level.
Oh no, just so many red flags.
Yeah.
Like I needed to end it. But yeah.
Good on you. That's a hard decision to
It
make.
was the hardest decision I've ever had to make in my life.
Yeah.
And it's been, I mean, there were a lot of things post that were really hard to deal with too. Like just watching things unfold the way I didn't want them to.
Yeah.
But, you know, it is what it is. And I'm much better now. But it's funny actually, because you probably met me like literally when I started going to our gym more right after the breakup, because the breakup, like I lost a ton of weight. I was really weak. I couldn't keep food down. Like my mom thought I was starting to starve again.
Right.
And I couldn't, because I just couldn't keep food down. So I like started going to the gym again, like to get jacked.
Nice.
You know?
I mean, that is a healthy outlet.
But yeah, dating now, it's kind of just like, I'm just going to like do my thing for a little bit, focus on me. I'm not saying no to dates.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm not swiping and like actively trying to find anything. And I'm definitely not rushing into anything.
Yeah.
That's
you know?
healthy. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you find, sorry, let me rephrase that. Being of that mind, right? You're an attractive person in Austin, Texas who does cool shit. Like,
Down boy. Sorry.
Gunner's just loving that he's
I know,
married
right?
right now.
He
He's
loves
like,
it.
I don't
Yeah,
need to talk about this.
And so, I mean, I'm sure that you have to do your fair share of like turning down and maintaining that like self-love.
Yeah.
What is that like?
I mean, so like most of the time, I feel like this is true for men too. You know, pretty instantly if you want to like go out with a woman, right? Like
Sure.
once you meet them in person, which is another benefit of not being on the apps.
Yeah.
Like you actually get a real vibe check
Yeah. I can't imagine.
of someone.
Just by
how long have you been married?
I've been married for 3 years.
Okay.
I met her in college before apps were even really a thing.
Right.
So like when people talk about dating apps and stuff, it's like
He's never been on one. Like
I can't imagine just sitting at a Chili's like
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what the best
what
way to
is
pitch yourself
this
is.
gonna be like? Yeah.
What's your log line?
So props to y'all. 'Cause
Yeah.
young life, find a
Hey,
wife.
man.
Young life, find a wife.
I don't do apps
That's
either.
so Texan.
Yeah. Dude, he's an Aggie. Like I know we're
my God.
Longhorns, so we get like
You went
half
to UT
credit.
too? Hell yeah, dude.
What's up?
My brother went to A&M.
What years?
I mean, he's young. He graduated in 2019.
19. What's his name?
TJ Vojtovich.
So I probably don't know. Okay. Anyway. Small town thing.
You know
always-
somebody who knows him.
I probably know
Probably.
somebody.
If you were in Greek life, you definitely know someone who knows someone.
Then I know someone who knew.
Yeah. Sigma Chi?
Hey.
What year did you graduate?
2017.
2017. Okay,
Yeah.
3 years after me.
Yeah,
Okay,
she's right between us.
Nice. Yeah.
There's like a small chance you might have known somebody in the theater department that I knew.
Probably.
Something like that.
That's so funny.
That's hilarious.
This is okay. So here's the thing. Texas is a small town.
Texas
Yes,
is a
it
small
is.
town.
Yeah.
It's like
Honestly.
100%.
I mean, the only reason I asked, like, who's your brother? It's like, there is a chance.
Literally.
that at some point.
I'm going to go on Facebook and be like, who are all of our mutual friends?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Feel free to scroll to my blonde bangs days while you're there.
But yeah, to answer your question, you were saying like, how do you like kind of manage
Yeah, how do you
the
navigate
boundaries?
now as you're
I mean, like I said, like I try to be pretty nice. To me, there's no reason to be mean. So like it might be toxic of me, but if someone is this is the one thing that I might say is toxic. If someone is hitting me up a bunch, but they're not exclusively saying something about I want to take you on a date or
Yeah,
I'm hitting
right.
on you right now, I act stupid. Even though I know 9 times out of 10 that dude is trying to flirt with me,
Yeah.
just because there have been so many instances, especially online or via text, where someone is doing that and I try to set the boundary before they ask me out, and then they act like, well, I was just messaging you
Sure.
because
Yeah.
they're upset. So
right.
that's the
you
one.
hurt their ego.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, also, like,
So that's
date-
still hard.
yeah, so that's the one I think navigating
Yeah.
thing about it for me. But like, I think if someone asks me out and I'm not interested, I'm pretty nice about being like, "Hey, no, you're
Yeah.
cool, but I'm just
Yeah.
not interested."
like, hey, you're cool, but you're not hot. So,
Sorry.
Like, I have standards.
Have you seen my Instagram?
hello. Traveled, cultured.
famous in India.
Yeah.
I'm like funny.
Are you famous in India? I've been trying to get to India this whole time.
Yeah.
Are you famous in India?
Dude,
We were gonna get there.
This is the craziest shit. We
Yeah,
also need to tie up with the hunting story because we started the
It's full
episode with
circle,
that.
full
But so I went to India for the month of August.
Yeah,
2022.
and it looks like you loved it, by the way.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It looks like a good time.
It's literally a different world. Like I had to just hit pause on my life in Austin,
Yeah.
go live with Anupi and her family in India for a month, and then come back. It
Yeah.
wasn't like I was eat, pray, loving it. I wasn't
No,
like
you-
meditating.
You
I
were
was-
making fun of Eat, Pray, Love while you
Yes.
were over there, which I love.
Yes.
Um,
My parents also legitimately very seriously told me to bring that book with me when I went on the trip. Like I
that's
thought it
funny.
would help me. And I was like,
Like,
guys,
that's not, you're like, guys, that's
like,
not the point.
do you
That's
think
not what
they-
we're doing.
like
Do
I'm
you
not
think-
divorced.
do you think
Yeah.
they thought it would help you, or do you think they were like, is this how we parent
this
now?
how we-
Like,
what's-
is this
what do we
need
do?
to
Probably both.
Yeah.
Your dad's like got the rifle in one hand, your mom's got the book in the other, and they're just like, which one? I
They're literally like, there's no book on when your white daughter goes to India.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Oh yeah, I think they were freaked out too because I like started studying it before I went. So I
Yeah.
can read Hindi. I can speak basic Hindi.
okay.
Whoa.
But they speak
Nice.
a bunch of languages there. So the
Yeah.
state we were in wasn't even what was written on.
That's
like
hilarious.
I was like, I spent half a year learning this alphabet, and they're writing in Gujarati. But
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, but essentially, I'm like a little bit famous in India.
Nice. Good place to be famous.
When I went to India, I had like 3,500 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
I made a couple of those stupid reels that you're talking
Yeah.
about of me being a dumb white bitch in India.
Yeah.
And or what it's like to walk around as a dumb white bitch in India
Yeah.
because everyone stares at you.
Yeah.
And they went super viral. And if I look at my Instagram metrics now, like my top cities are Austin, Delhi, Chennai, Bombay,
That
like
is
Ahmedabad.
amazing.
Like it's just Austin and then all
Yeah.
Indian cities.
That's
And, like,
amazing.
So what you're saying
and I
is
gained like 8,000 Indian followers.
your Bollywood career starts next year?
Yeah, I hope so. Bollywood, hit me
Yeah, I've
up.
been wondering
I'm
why the
down.
hair's
She
so
can
long.
dance, she doesn't sing. So
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
I'll sing for money.
Oh, there you go.
When Shania Twain does her India tour.
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
Many fans over there.
Well, what was extra funny is like we're talking about like opportunities that I'm getting just for being here. Jason Rouse
yeah.
went to Copenhagen and he brought me as his opener. So that's why I was in Copenhagen in October.
Yeah.
And this was right after the whole India thing. And he's really good friends with Russell Peters, the Indian
That bit-
Canadian
yeah, yeah.
comic.
Yeah, yeah.
And Russell was headlining like a 5,000 person amphitheater in Copenhagen when we were there. So we went, we watched the show and we hung out with Russell for like an hour in
How
the green
cool was
room.
that?
And him and his brother took me home. Like they brought me back to my hotel after because I didn't have a ride. Like they're so nice.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And so I like post a picture with Russell Peters and now like all my Indian followers think I'm like tight with Russell
With Russell
Peters.
Which, as far as they're concerned,
I am.
like
you
you
go.
are.
Yeah.
So she is.
But yeah, it was just like me being a
and
troll
like,
the whole
what
time.
had you always wanted to go to India, or was it just like that was a place you could go? Like,
Well,
what made you choose India?
So Anupi, who I went with, she's my roommate and she's my best friend. Like we've known each other since we were 8. We grew up around the corner from each other.
that's awesome.
So we've always just been like sisters.
Yeah.
And I've just never gotten to go with her. I mean, like as kids, like as soon as we were out of school, our mom would just send her to India, you know, hang out in India with your family for the summer. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't see her for most of the summer. And then she'd come back and like be talking about all this stuff in this other place and like
Yeah.
kind of had an accent a little bit. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, what is
Yeah.
this? And
Where'd
so-
you go?
Yeah. What's the Indiana?
I shot a hog while you were gone.
It's on the YouTube. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, so it was just one of those things where like it was a little bit silly in that I hadn't yet broken up with my fiance, and Anupi's cousin called us one night and was like, hey, are you guys coming to India this summer? And Anupi said, I just bought my tickets. And he goes, cool, Allison too? And she goes, no. And he bullied the family WhatsApp group chat into saying Allison's coming
those
to India.
Indian WhatsApp group chats are insane.
Dude, I had aunties in Thailand chiming in.
No way.
Yeah. So like basically like Rishi, her cousin, just is like, Allison's coming to India. And so it causes a hoopla on the worldwide WhatsApp chat.
Nice.
I ended up getting invited to come and like sent the travel agent's info the next day. And we just booked
No
the flight. And I
way.
didn't even tell my ex.
That's
like
amazing.
I booked the flight and then I broke up with him a week later. And then I was like, by the way, I'm going to India
to
in
India.
August.
So whenever Allison takes space, she takes space.
Takes a
She
while.
takes several
Like
thousand
thousands of miles.
Good to know.
Awesome. What I mean, you know, I always like people who travel ask this, like, what was it like to be like the legit minority for a month?
So yeah, I mean that's the longest I've been the legit
Yeah.
minority because like I've been to many places where I am the minority, but it's like either like a lot of the places I've gone are Spanish speaking. So like Costa Rica or whatever. So it's like I look a little different, but I can get away with it because I speak pretty good Spanish.
Yeah.
There, it was like I was the only white person I saw in Ahmedabad where we were staying the entire time until literally the last day. And I like met one guy who was white living in that town. And it's because he was working for Netflix or something. Like he just was like sent there, you know? So yeah, it was very interesting. I mean, like cultural differences matter, right?
Yeah.
Like there's, to put it into perspective, we live in Austin, a city of roughly 1 million people. We're complaining about how packed it is.
Yeah.
Ahmedabad is a small town in India of 8 million people, in which anyone that I told I was going there was like, why Ahmedabad? It's so boring. And I'm like, there's 8 million people.
Yeah. Like, how can that be boring?
It's crazy there.
Yeah.
The roads are insane. So you're just like, personal space is different.
Yeah.
The interactions with people are different. So it's like, and manners aren't really like a thing as much. Like they just don't say please and thank you as much.
Yeah.
Not because they're rude.
It's
like
just how it is. And like, I mean, even like I was talking to a Noopy about this morning, like the way they say yes and no is different.
Really?
So sometimes they'll be doing this and they're telling you, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a nod of acknowledgement when they talk and do this. It's like they're nodding and acknowledging you, but it can literally mean
It could
anything.
mean anything. Yeah. It's not yes or no. It's also both.
Exactly.
It's like,
yeah.
It's just ambiguous.
Yeah. So like, so anyway, it was just like honestly a learning curve with that. So it's like I look different to them, and then manners aren't as much of a thing. So like those videos I posted of people staring at me, it really was breaking necks on the street because there was a white girl.
Yeah,
So
one is because
it's just like, what is she doing here?
Yeah, like,
you know. One of the funniest stories from that though was we were at Rishi's house and we ordered like their equivalent of DoorDash, and the guy brings the food up to the apartment and Rishi opens the door and I'm sitting in the couch, like, you know, me to the camera away, and the guy kind of peeks in and his eyes get huge, like he looks like he's seen a ghost and he's going off in Hindi, and Rishi starts laughing and I was like, what's going on? He said he's never seen a white person before.
Oh my gosh.
And the guy like kind of peeks over and he's like waving at me, and so I waved back, and Rishi was like, do you want to say hi to him? And I was like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
And so the guy was like, namaste, you know, kaise ho, tera naam kya hai, which is like, hi, how are you? What's your name? And I was like, mera naam Allison, tera naam kya hai? And he just went, he was so shook that I responded to him in Hindi, like, because Rishi didn't translate that for me either. I know it, like that's about the extent
pretty basic
of what I know.
Yeah.
But the guy just was like, and then he like said something else, and Rishi goes, "Nay baya," which means no brother, and slams the door. And I was like, "What did he say?" And he goes, "He asked if he could take a picture with you." He goes, "That guy would have been up all night
That is
if you let him take a selfie with you."
That's really funny.
But yeah, that was the first time that's ever happened to me.
That's
so that
incredible.
was that was pretty
Love
weird.
that.
What was like your biggest takeaway from being somewhere so foreign for so long?
Nothing is normal. Like they're normal. Literally, they were shocked when I told them that arranged marriages are considered bad here. Like Anupi's aunt asked me, like, "Oh, did you come to India looking for a match?" And I was like, "Oh no, you know, I'm good. I just ended an engagement. I don't need to plan another one."
Yeah.
And
There's some material there.
yeah, but you know, she was just like, "Oh well, like in America, is it more common to have arranged or love match marriages? Because they call them love matches there, like 1800s England." And I was like,
Love that.
they hate the British, but they do a lot of British stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, "Oh yeah, well, arranged is considered like one of the worst things you can do to a person."
Yeah.
And she goes, "Oh well, they get divorced less," and just like went.
Yeah.
And I was like, "All right,
Cool.
All right, fair point.
Okay, that was
Fair.
a conversation.
Yeah. So like, I mean, nothing is normal.
Yeah.
Like what's normal to them is so completely foreign
Yeah.
to us, and vice versa. You know, there's no like the whole family. There was nothing wrapped. Like the whole family had one of those little mini trash cans like this big in the kitchen, and we would empty it once every 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Like here we fill trash bags, just me and Anupi, a couple times a week.
Because there's wrappers and like
nothing
yeah.
is wrapped. Yeah, there's no paper products.
Yeah.
Like even toilet paper, you use the bidet and you put your pants back on with your ass wet.
Yeah.
It's just how it is.
It's fine.
You know,
But it's clean.
It's
But it's
clean.
India, so your ass
It's
is gonna
clean.
get wet no matter what.
You're literally gonna
sweat through
have
it. It's fine.
swamp ass as soon as you step
Yeah.
back outside. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, whatever. You know.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to ask too. You know, it sounds like your mom and dad are like very loving,
Yeah.
supportive, and I feel like there's so many comedians that like half their jokes are about like
Right.
my parents
up they
hate me
are.
or
Right.
this
Yeah.
that. what has it been like, stepping into comedy and just how have your parents responded to it? What has that been like?
They're so supportive. Okay. My parents are just like the sweetest and best and I love them. And like, yeah, they've always just been supportive of whatever I want to do. Cause like, even if it's something crazy like stand up, they know I also have the crazy that doesn't let me like be homeless.
Yeah, for sure.
They know I'm going to work hard enough to just not die essentially. Yeah. So like by now it's like, they're just going to encourage me as long as I seem like I'm happy and I'm like not losing my house, so
both important
I'm eating, right? So so it's been good. I mean, like they definitely come to shows. Like I think they're gonna be at my birthday show. It's just so funny. There's like they literally didn't come to the first couple Litty Titty shows because I was like, guys, I don't know how crazy this is gonna be.
Yeah.
And even for this one, I was like, I take no responsibility for how crazy this is gonna be.
See.
Like
because in the second one they had to kick out a group.
Yeah, they had to kick out a really bad heckler. That was the second one. Yeah. Someone made some breast cancer joke and she turned out to be like a breast cancer survivor and started yelling at the comic after having yelled at all of
everybody
them.
Yeah, she had already been heckling.
Yeah, it was already a problem.
Right?
I mean, David Lucas
was crowd working on her and then she got kicked out.
Well, I'm bummed because Seth said that David was actually about to do new material.
Yeah.
He hasn't had in like a year and a half.
Yeah. He literally asked for a spot so he could try those jokes.
And then he has to deal with this person.
Yeah.
Guys, don't heckle. It doesn't help.
It's
not funny.
What do comics like in the back rooms say about hecklers? Because when I hear a heckler, it just doesn't make sense to me because I'm like,
you got to be able to deal with it.
You paid money to come into a comedy venue. So where did the disconnect happen?
Yeah, I mean, we always just talk shit. We will warn each other. Like, I know for sure, like, Ariel got off, because Norman was the first one up that night, and the woman gave her $100 to get off stage.
Yeah.
The woman didn't like her.
The woman did not like her at all.
This was, okay, Litty Titty Tuesday, just at Litty Titty Comedy. I'm plugging it.
Do some plugs.
You can plug whatever you want.
This is the Gong Show that I run at Creek in the Cave, and I just wanted to give that context because I want it to be chaotic. But, like, yeah, this woman didn't get one of the glow sticks to be able to vote whether Ariel's set was done. And she's like hitting the guy next to her, like, turn your glow stick on, this bitch sucks. But she's in the front. So Ariel hears her saying this and sees her doing it. So finally Ariel stops and is just like, why don't you like me? And just starts like,
and Ariel's a great comic.
She's so funny. So it was great. Like, she killed it. And then finally the woman was like, if I gave you $30, will you get off stage? And Ariel was like, shit, yeah, that's probably more than I'm getting paid for this show, you know? And so
when you're in the back, like, what the
I
saw Allison like, what? I don't throw me under the bus, dude.
I was like, screw you guys, I am paying you. But anyway, so yeah, so the woman like pulls out her wallet and hands her $100 and is like, give me change. And Ariel was like, no.
And just walked off?
Pretty much. Like, I got on the mic and I was like, we'll deal with it later. But the woman got kicked out. So Ariel just got to keep the $100.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It was, you didn't pay her then, right?
I did still, actually. I was like, I'm definitely still paying.
What do your parents think of like your comedy style?
There's some jokes I don't do in front of them. Really? And I think they know that. Like, I've done my
boundaries,
raunchiest,
right?
I've done my raunchiest stuff in front of my grandma. Yeah. Like, I got this tattoo with my grandma. We're like, okay, so like, but I've done some raunchy stuff in front of my mom. There's just certain things I won't do in front of my dad.
Yeah,
he just doesn't want to hear that.
That's
like,
fair.
I don't have like super sexual stuff, but I have one joke about like that involves dick sucking, and it's not even me doing it, but it's like, I still don't want to talk about it.
I'm sure the dad doesn't want to
Dad doesn't want to hear me say that, you know? So like,
turn it off, Dad.
Yeah. So like, I don't do certain jokes in front of them, but that's also been good because like opening for Jen, I need clean material. Yeah. It's good to work on a variety of stuff.
Do you like doing clean? I know some comics like are.
It's not my favorite. So what I finally said because my mom talks to me about this a lot. Obviously she's like, I love it when you do clean. You know, she doesn't care if I do.
Our mom says that about this podcast,
right?
So.
Yeah. So it's like I get it, but what I told her, I was like, I like writing clean and I like the challenge of it, but I don't think clean. So like it feels inauthentic sometimes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not a pessimist, but I'm not like gonna just sit here and say everything's great either.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, you heard the jokes I did today, right?
Yeah.
The one that I had another one that was darker. So it's like,
do it.
Texas update.
Do it. Texas update. Special edition. Texas update. Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Okay. President Biden finally visited the U.S.-Mexico border for the first time in his 2 years as president last week. But his administration wanted to clarify that it only took so long because too many families were camping on the tarmac.
Said President Biden, still waiting for my tacos.
Said President Biden, where am I?
Said President Biden, I just forgot.
2023 already?
Yep. Say Kamala Harris. I'm Mexican. She would say that.
Oh yeah. So I mean, yeah. So for me, I'm like, yeah, I think of things that are silly, but then sometimes I'm like, well, it's silly because it's dark, you know? Like,
and don't throw her under the bus, but like off stage is, and I'm sorry I forgot her name, the woman you opened for.
Jen, full white.
Is she clean off stage too, or just?
No, I think she's pretty honest about that too. Mm-hmm. I mean, she doesn't like censor herself, but she's also not like disgusting.
Yeah.
Right.
She just makes sure like not to cuss. On stage and stuff, because not everyone likes that, and I respect that. You know?
Sure.
And there's some just amazing comics who perform clean and even are clean kind of off stage as well.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
Nate Bargatze is just
Aaron,
same.
Aaron Weber's on his podcast now. He featured with Jen and I on the tour.
Nice.
So like he's the same way. He's just like the good old Tennessee guy. Yeah, that's him. You know,
100%.
Yeah.
What when we have comics on, I have to ask. I'm sorry. Worst bomb. Just biggest eat crap.
Just a bag.
But
of
just
I feel like I blacked it out. Oh,
it's coming back.
Well, one of them that I just remember because it was such an important night, and of course it sucks. I got to do potluck at the Comedy Store.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, thank God I've never been pulled at like Kill Tony or something, because I used to always sign up for both. I would like potluck is this. It's an open mic and it's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
A bunch of people sign up, they pull names, but in reality, it's kind of rigged. You kind of need to know someone to get on it. And I was finally friends with some door guys, so I got on it. And I was like, yes, but I was supposed to be third on the lineup, which is actually pretty good for someone that the store doesn't know. And I go, and both people in front of me didn't show up for their spot, which is like hundreds of people sign up for potluck and they pulled 20 spots. And so, first of all, like the audience and the host are already pissed because these first two comics are being disrespectful.
That's just
they're being disrespectful. And then, like right before, they're like, "Well, let's just get the third person to go up." They found one of them outside, and I was like, "Please let them go, please let them go." And they're like, "No, we're just gonna have the third person go, and they can go after her." And I was like, "Why are you punishing me?
Why do I have to do this?"
Yeah. And I went up, and it was not a good set.
It was the room.
It was partially yes.
Yeah.
Also, like it's mostly comics, and it's mostly comics that don't want to laugh for you because they're also trying to get booked at the store. Yeah, it's very competitive. It's weird. So like there was like one family that accidentally showed up right on time for the show, and everyone knows not to show up on time for potluck. You know, so like it's just one family and a bunch of comics and like the bookers in the back, and now like I'm the dick that actually showed up for my spot that has to open. You know,
5 minutes early.
Like you're having to get punished.
Yeah. Also 5 minutes early. I was sitting there being like, okay, let me make sure, because you only get like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
You know,
in a town you're not from, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, dang, and I'm sure the door guy like pulled a string to get my name on there, you know.
Dang.
I've been to the Comedy Store several times. It's not an easy room.
It's terrifying.
Even on good nights, it's not an easy room.
Yeah, no, it's a scary. I've gotten to do potluck twice. The other time was better, but like it's scary, and I haven't gotten to do like a show because the potluck audience is for sure the hardest because no one wants to be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting energy in that place.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely haunted in there.
Yeah.
Like that's the feeling of it.
Yeah.
Even if
especially when you're here, because when we go to shows here, it just feels like everyone's having fun.
Right.
Like I haven't been to a show in
fun.
Austin. I haven't been to a room in Austin yet where it's like
actually bad.
Well, the stories you hear in New York and LA of like half the people are comics and they want you to fail.
Well, that's
like,
the open mics too. Like if you were to actually go to an open mic here, you'd see it.
Yeah.
It's really disheartening.
Hey, open micers, support each other. When you celebrate each other, it's fun.
Yeah.
I did my first open mic last year at Buzzmill.
Oh yeah, okay, that's a good one.
It's a good one, but I did notice like because they have chairs right in front,
right,
and it's just comics sitting around.
Yes,
and you're like, bro,
well, you also had to go at like 1 a.m.
Yeah, well, I went last.
You went last,
which is I just wanted to do it because I thought it'd be fun, and I went last, but still, like the comics wouldn't fill in the seats.
No,
and I'm curious as to why that happens.
Honestly, I don't know, because one of the biggest things comics will bitch about, especially at a venue like Creek in the Cave, is that the audience always fills in the front last.
Right.
That's why we try to get people to move up for our show. I keep hitting this mic.
Yeah. No, I do.
But yeah, so it's like I think the front is just scary for some people, and then the comics are like, oh well, I'm a comic. I don't need to like be an audience member. I'm here to chill and work, even though they're just chain smoking cigarettes and talking shit. They're not even doing anything to work. You know,
freaking burnout. That's why you're poor. Sorry, Mom.
You look like you're about to go
bring
on
me
a
my Postmates
Dogecoin rant.
No, Sorry, I love comedy so much, and I love people like you so much, but the comics who are burnouts that don't show up on time and think they're funny, but all they do is talk shit and ride coattails piss me off.
I mean, that's everything. That's every industry.
That's fine. It's fine. I keep forgetting questions. What was I going to ask?
Wait for it.
Just give
Look
it
at the gears turning.
There.
He's gonna get there.
Oh, do people from high school ever end up at your shows and they're like, Alli from gym class?
Oh my God. I had, okay, so two instances where I didn't know someone from high school was going to be there.
Yeah.
One was at an open mic in Round Rock, right? Like, and I went there because it was one of the only open mics post-COVID at first.
Yeah.
And it was like a girl from my high school, like couple girls from my high school that I didn't know super well. So I didn't like immediately recognize them.
Knew you.
Yeah.
But they did, well, probably because they heard my name when I went on stage and they were like, oh, but I got off after bombing at this open mic and they were like, Allison, we come here every Tuesday. This is so fun. And I was like, oh my God,
like,
I'm never doing this open
back
mic.
here again.
I can't do this open mic anymore. Shit, you know? And then another time, it was one of the times I got to do a secret show and I have a joke essentially like about a guy named Dallas as part of the punchline and like a friend of mine from high school was named Dallas and he was in the audience with a couple other people.
No way.
It wasn't about him at all.
But
it was like,
did he say anything or did you have
like it was clearly not about him, but like, so it was just like, it was just funny coincidence that like I saw them after the show.
That's amazing.
How do you keep your discipline to hit the mics whenever there are experiences like driving 3 hours to Dallas and having a mic canceled? Because that broke my heart.
That happened to you?
This was Friday.
Dude.
I was
on
driving.
Friday too?
Because you handled it like a champ, but like, I would just like, I would rage quit and I might start doing it again. But in that moment, I would be like, F this shit.
Yeah. So I was booked by a comic who produces a show in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
Long story short.
I've heard some stories about this venue in Fort Worth.
Yes. This venue in Fort Worth has gotten pretty sketchy with its support for comics, especially in one of its comedy rooms. But long story short, they weren't helping with ticket sales at all. We were running ads ourselves. We were doing a bunch of stuff trying to help. 2 tickets sold on Friday. And this is like insane. Like the ad I was running alone had hundreds of clicks. So I'm like, this is insane. Y'all's website is fucked. Something's going on. Yeah. And so I was like, well, it's Friday. I had like a sketch shoot. And so I was like, I'm just going to shoot this sketch with my friends and then start driving because I don't want to hit 5 o'clock Waco traffic.
Yep.
No, you do not.
No.
The lanes are open now.
Temple wasn't.
It's always something.
I know. But so anyway, like literally I'm exiting Waco at like 4:30 and the comic who booked me called and was like, hey, I'm just going to cancel because we still only have 2 tickets sold. And I was like, I'm already like 2 hours into this ride. So I was going to stay with a friend in Dallas that night anyway. So I was like, okay, it's either an hour and a half to her house or 2 hours plus in traffic back to Austin. Let me just go visit Hannah. Yeah. So I just rerouted for Dallas and met her and we got dinner and she's pregnant and like exhausted. So I was like, okay, rather than like making you host me tonight, like when you don't need to, I can just drive home. So like on the way out, like I knew that there was a show that some of my Dallas comic friends were doing. And so I hit one of them up and I was just like, is it still happening? I haven't been to this club before. And he's like, yeah, it's wrapping up, but come hang. So I did miss the show, but they told me they would have given me a guest spot if I'd gotten there on time. But so I just got to go hang out at the club and check it out and meet some new people. So I mean, even in that, it's like, I was definitely pissed because like, not only did I just waste 6 hours of driving, but like I didn't get the money I was supposed to make and like yada yada. But like now I know more people in the Dallas scene who are probably going to come do my show. And you know, so for me, I was like, well, I may as well just like make the most out of it. It's never been like a fuck this comedy sucks. Because even if you feel that way in the moment, it's like
you gotta have perspective.
You have to have perspective, and also like this is the most booked I've ever been for comedy stuff this month. Like I was updating my website and it took so long yesterday, and I was like,
that has to be an awesome feeling.
Sucks. But then I was like, I'm so lucky.
I'm so glad this sucks.
So
I hate this. Yes.
Give me more. Yeah.
Are you booked out in March already?
Maybe a couple shows, but not like a ton.
All right, cool. Georgetown. Anyway, that's a great segue. And thank you for joining us. And we love you so much.
I love you guys.
Allison, you are truly one of our favorite people.
And
obviously one of our favorite comics.
Where can people find you?
Plug everything you want to
plug. Everything. You got Litty Titty, just everything.
And then
we've
give it to us. Then we've got one more question.
Oh gosh. Okay. So my personal stuff is Alli Wo, ALLIWO. texish.com. That's Instagram. You can find my Facebook that way, all that shit. The show is Litty Titty Comedy at Litty Titty Comedy on Instagram. We do second and fourth Tuesdays at Creek in the Cave at 8 p.m. But we're having a special edition birthday one. I don't know if this will be out before then, but Monday, January.
It's on Monday, right? It's on the day.
Great. Tonight, Monday, January 16th, my birthday.
Let's go.
There is a special edition show with Mike Eaton because it's also his birthday. Battle of the Sexes Gong Show.
Let's go.
It's going to be insane.
Are y'all has to get a tattoo of the other person's face on their butt?
We're just two sexes.
Okay, two sexes.
Cool.
Yeah,
Not round robin.
The ones that me and Mike identify as. Yeah. So and then that's pretty much. Oh, I'm starting to co-host a new show called Alter Ego at the studio on East 6th as well with Big Laugh Comedy.
Heck
So,
yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right. You got it.
All right, I got it.
You do it.
We like to ask this of all of our guests, and I'm especially excited to hear your answer. What does it mean to you to be a Texan?
I think it means to have values, stick to them, and be nice to people. Like that's what the number one thing I hear from other people coming here is, wow, everyone's so nice. Just be nice, be kind, be kind.
Mm-hmm.
Be kind. Not
Heck
nice,
yeah.
be kind.
Yeah.
I love have values stick to them.
Have
I've never
values,
thought of
stick
it
to
that
them.
way.
Yeah.
I like
Heck
it.
yeah.
Have values, stick to them, and be kind.
And subscribe. Bye, y'all.